This is the Book Legion Podcast, where we review thought-provoking books to give our Legionnaires the knowledge they need to dominate the next level of their life.
Hey, welcome back to the Book Legion, everyone. This is Kevin Diaz. Glad to have you back. Sorry, it's been a minute for me to do an episode. I was out on a beautiful, an amazing Valentine's vacation with my wife out in Charleston. Humble brag. I had a great experience. I really would, all jokes aside, I'd really recommend it to anybody. Great food, great scenery, and just a beautiful town. But anyway, we're back, and I'm happy to get another book back. And this one is from a pretty popular sales guy, the one and only Jeb Blount. If you don't know who Jeb is, he's a author of 13 books, including a great one I read a couple years ago, Fanatical Prospecting. He's written Sales EQ, People Who Follow You, Virtual Selling. And he just wrote a recent one called Selling the Price Increase as well. But the one that we're going to be talking about today is this one right here called Selling in a Crisis. If you can see that, sorry about the blur, but essentially 55 ways to stay motivated in a crisis during volatile times. So I really appreciated this. If Jeb is a very giving person when it comes to sales advice. He's advised basically the who's who of the world's leading organizations and their executive teams on the impact of emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills on these customer facing activities, and just kind of how to make complex topics, complex sales cycles, really dumb them down to keep it simple, hit the main points. And really help you out. I mean, he truly is among the world's most respected thought leaders on prospecting and on sales. So it was a great read. There's short chapters. There's 55 chapters in the book, all hitting one main point. And it was just something that you could really, if you're in sales, you could sit down, read 2 or 3 in the morning before you get your day started, and just kind of hone back in on the basics. I cannot harp on that enough. It happens to me all the time where I'll go maybe a little too long, where I don't focus on the fundamentals of selling and keeping the most important thing. And this just was a great book to kind of get me back in the mindset of my daily structure. The book essentially is broken up into 6 different parts. There's a part about mindset, a part about your pipeline, a part about being disciplined with your time, about selling better, protecting your turf, and essentially ending with protecting your career, how to advance your career, which I really appreciated that I haven't really seen that last part in a lot of sales books. But as usual, if you're a first-time listener on the Book Legion, we review a book, we pick out 3 major points that I took away from the book, and hopefully I can convince you to buy the book at the end of the episode. So diving in, first of 3 points was a chapter, The Only 3 Things to Control. And those are your actions, your reaction, and your mindset. That outside of that, you have essentially no control over the present circumstances. And I think sometimes we go and try to find easy street, is what Jeb calls it. You're not going to find easy street. There's no shortcut to success in sales. It's all about your actions, your mindset, and how you react to things that are outside of your control, that are going to ultimately determine your level of success. Okay, this easy street phenomenon, it doesn't exist. It's like a get rich quick scheme. Every time I hear those, I'm like, it's just a bunch of crap at the end of the day. Okay, so remember, you can only control what you can control at the end of the day, which is how you're viewing it. Why you can't go into it thinking, why does this happen to me all the time? This happens to me, or I just have bad luck and all that. You can't have that. It's going to kind of snowball from there in a negative way. Whereas if you change your perspective and you put in the time and the effort, that those actions are going to snowball in a different way. They're going to snowball 30, 60, 90 days out. You're going to get a bigger pipeline. You're going to have a different mindset of what your business is doing. So that's point 1. Point number 2 is your messaging matters. And, how many times have you picked up the phone, whether it's a legitimate someone that you actually wanted to talk to, or robocall, and it just goes into all about me, my product, my features, here's what I can do, I. and it's such a turn off, because it doesn't dive into how I see it, me personally, the human connection of, hey, I get what you're doing. I get what you're going through. Here's a solution. Here's how I can help, right? That when you're calling on prospects, they don't care what you're trying to pitch. They might obviously care to a little bit because we're in a similar industry as what you're calling them, right? But what I'm saying is don't make it about you. And I love that Jeb mentions in the book that he starts out his students through his programs with a few generic but really important questions, and they're so simple but they're so important. They go so long, and regardless of any industry that you're in, number one is what's important to them. What are they, what do they truly care about at the end of the day? They don't care about what your features can do. They care about how this can help them. Number two, what emotions are they experiencing? You really want to harp on a point. You make an emotional story to tug at the heartstrings, to reel it in and make it personal. That's how you're going to get somebody to listen to you. And number three is, if you were in their shoes, what would compel them to meet with you? Don't, like I said, don't start with the I want to talk to you about phrase. I'm guilty of that. I get it. People call, hey, what are you calling me for? Oh, I wanted to talk to you about our so and so. Don't do that. They don't care. They don't want to hear it. Jeb talks about using phrases that indicate that you're knowledgeable, and you could be, essentially a solution for them, right? You call on somebody and share an insight that's helped clients in similar situations, or maybe in a similar industry. It's very important to always keep in mind that stories are powerful. They're essentially the human connection piece that I think a lot of people miss out there. And being able to be knowledgeable in the struggles of the person that you're calling about, especially when you call in and you start telling them their struggles, or even better yet, you bring up a struggle that they're not aware of. That's how you really separate yourself from everybody else that is blowing up their phone throughout the day. So that's the second point. Last and final point, arguably the most important point of the ones I've mentioned, is called Eat the Frog. And I think that, I get that sounds a little weird, but it comes from a quote by a Frenchman named Nicholas Chamfort, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. His quote, swallow a frog in the morning if you want to encounter nothing more disgusting the rest of the day, end quote. Jeb ties it to prospecting. Prospecting is the one activity that will have the greatest positive impact on the health of your pipeline, which is tied to your career and ultimately tied to your income, right? And I am guilty of it. We all do it. We all get to work sometimes, or you're even the night before you're going to bed. Oh, I'm going to hit the phone tomorrow. I'm going to prospect tomorrow. I'm going to put in 2 hours of prospecting time. And we all say we'll get to it, and it never happens, right? Or, it just gets pushed off. It's an empty promise. Things come up, your email gets blown up by a case, or you just get distracted. Life happens, right? It's so important to have your day structured in a manner that you can dedicate an hour to 2 hours every single day of the lifeblood of a salesperson is to go out and reach out to new people. The biggest frog in your day is this prospecting. And I think by having your energy, your confidence, and your enthusiasm truly be at the peak at the beginning of the day is when you can maximize the potential of your prospect. And you can prospect, any time of the day. Don't get me wrong. Like I if you can get it in at 3:00 because you couldn't in the morning, better than nothing. I totally understand that. But if you can start off your day with those proactive outbound calls, I think you can truly start to make a significant impact just based on your energy. People feed off of that on the phone. They can pick it up on the webinar, on Zoom, Teams, whatever you use. And I just thought it was just such a great point in the book, Eat the Frog. We can get so caught up in our current business and all that we forget the most important thing, which is what got us to get in that position in the first place, prospecting, right? And it's not the most fun thing in the world, but it's arguably, not arguably, it's definitively the most important thing. So those are my 3 points that I took away from the book. It's a very easy read. Like I said, it's very short chapters. It also reminded me of Ryan Holiday's books of the Stoicism series that he's writing, just short in and out. but so high power, deep material. I really, really loved it. So I will put the link in the description for the an Amazon link to make sure you guys can get it. And don't forget to, share, like, subscribe. If first time listener, thank you for spending time with us today. If you're a long time listener, we really appreciate the time that you put in to listen to what we have to say here at the Book Legion. And, until next time, this is Kevin signing off, and hope you have a great rest of your day.